Key points and best practices for when you want to participate in a trade show, meaning you are the person renting a space at a trade show, like 5 by 5, 5 by 10, 10 by 10, 10 by 20, whatever the booth size is, it doesn't really matter. What you do need to look at is, of course, how much space do you really need? How much space do you want? And the cost associated with it. You want to make sure that all the money you're spending, you're getting it back, right? In revenue from that particular show. Like people that are attending that show need to essentially be able to produce the revenue for you to be able to pay for that booth. Now, renting a booth comes with all kinds of different commitments and so forth. So we always need to keep that in mind. So big things to consider is, knowing your budget, knowing what it is that you have the ability to spend comfortably, and know exactly what it is you need to get back to be able to make that show worthwhile. And it's not just the cost of the booth itself. It's not just the cost of the booth plus the electrical plus internet. There's always a bunch of hidden fees. If the booth is not in your city, what is your flights cost, your hotel costs, car rental costs, your shipping costs to send the stuff for your entire booth to that city? These all need to be factored in. The second it's out of town, obviously the prices go up drastically in a hurry, because booths alone in your city are already not particularly cheap. So you want to get all your information in advance so that you're not committing to something that you're like, wow, I didn't realize this was going to go up this much, right? And not all shows are created equal, and so means not all shows are going to potentially bring you back all the money you invested plus some to make it profitable, right? So choosing your location, of course, there's always better spots on the show floor than there are less better spots or like least wanted spots. Most of the time people will pick like a higher traffic area to the right of the entrance, or straight ahead of the entrance, something that makes you very, very visible for people walking around. If you're tucked away in a corner, then that makes that more difficult. Personally, what I've seen at the wedding shows that we rent a booth at, it is there's one end of the show, they're all 5 by 5 booths. That means that aisle is always super, super, super busy. But busy does not necessarily mean profitable, right? Just because that's busy, yes, that aisle's busy, but it's busy because of the number of booths that are there, not necessarily because there is business being done there, right? You also want to look at the layout. Are there competitors in your industry at the same show? Are you guys, far enough apart that you don't want to end up next to your competitor, because that doesn't make any sense, right? So these are things to kind of look at as well. I mean, is the show location good for access? For the most part, I haven't really come across shows where it doesn't offer parking, because you need to be able to have people be able to park their vehicle or get there via public transport. Anyways, that's one thing to really look at. There are, of course, a lot less costly, more budget friendly pop-up shows that are done at hotels. They're smaller, less cost obviously associated with it as well, or at church halls. Again, not sure what the right combination is. I always say if the upfront cost is very low and you're new to business, this might be a great moment that you do attend the low cost shows, because really a low cost show, one client can cover your cost. Yes, you need to think about your day involved there, because you're spending the entire day there. So that has to be a labor factor attached to it, right? And so that's a big thing. The other thing is the booth size and its design. So you want to assess the space based on your expected foot traffic. So if you know approximately what the foot traffic is, you can kind of say, okay, well, out of that, what do you think? Where do you think? And sometimes it's trial and error. So don't get me wrong. Like, this is not a formula for me that I found yet that works, because been doing and attending and paying for these show booths for over 10 years. This is the first year where we are shrinking our booth to half its size. It's 10 feet wide by 5 feet deep. because I'm finding over the years at the wedding shows that my return on my investment was significantly reducing year by year, a little bit by little bit, because I think there's been a huge change with the pandemic. Obviously, people know how to find you online. People know how to research online, and they've really gotten accustomed to that. And the new generation coming up grew up with internet, so I think that plays a factor as well. We're shrinking the booth size. Our booth is in 2 weeks away, so we're shrinking it. We're going to see what the return on that investment is, to see if it hindered us at all. We have done draws and things like that as well to try and attract people in. So think about how your design of your booth will produce or invite the most engagement between all the people walking by your booth. What will draw them in? Is it a prize wheel? Is it a draw? Is it conversation? Is it your setup? Are you featuring something specific, like an arch with draping or specific chairs? Or, just think about what it is that you're offering, right? That makes a big difference. So essential elements to have in your booth would be to make sure all your branding is really clear. Your signage, your logo, your tagline, all that needs to be very consistent across your booth, your banner in your booth, your trifold, your cards, your brochures, whatever it is that you're handing out. Personally, I highly recommend every piece of literature that goes out is not just information. Have a call to action on that, meaning invite them to something like an open house, invite them for a free consultation, a draw is another reason, or is, your first rental with us, you have a discount. Something that, invites them to something that will bring you a positive result. So think about what that might be, right? There's more than one way to look at that. And you would like all these things to be, like highly engaging visuals. So you would like them to be like, okay, this pops here, that pops there. If you are able to have like a rolling, if you're paying for power, maybe have an iPad there with images of setups that you've done. If you're a balloon decorator, maybe all your balloon decor. If you are an event rental company, all your product. If you are an event planner, setups you've done. These are all different things that, will attract certain people to your booth. So it's worth having and taking the time to create that slideshow if you're going to pay for power anyway. Some booths will do swag items. I mean, yeah, that can work. Why not? I mean, certain pens are fairly inexpensive. Now, a lot of people give out pens, so you may want to think about, other things that are fun, unique, but not over the top expensive, right? Because you want to keep your outlay of costs reasonable and not go over the top to not get your money back, right? This is a trial and error. If this is your first show, don't go crazy, because I've seen it happen so many times. I've seen so many businesses come into the Ottawa Wedding Show here, and they're there for one show and they don't come back because they did not get all the money back. They spent way too much time on creating this elaborate booth. They didn't end up finishing in time because it was way too elaborate. They underestimated what it takes to set up a booth and all those things. So this is always a learning process. Go in smart. Go in with an expectation and know exactly how long it's going to take. And if you're not sure how long that setup is going to take, make sure you give it a shot inside your own warehouse or in another space where you have room for the same size booth that you've booked. So you can say, okay, this is what I'm being given. These are the things I want to bring. How long does it take me to set it up? If there's certain people that may have samples to give away, I've seen people give away flowers if they're a florist. The list can go on, right? There's so many ways. You can gamify potentially in your booth. Of course, you have to check all the rules and regulations of each and every show, because I am sure they vary greatly. And this way, you can kind of encourage a little bit of participation, which will lead to being able to build a little bit more rapport. And you need to be able to, capture some leads there. So does that mean a digital way or on a draw where people put their name and address and phone number? You need it to be easy so that people have the ability to quickly respond and do that. I mean, for me, the draws, yeah, they have had some success, but I don't find that they're necessarily the be all and end all either. So, again, try different ways, and I'm sure depending on what area you're in, it's also going to vary to some extent, right? Because there's different expectations in different countries and different states and cities potentially as well. So, if you are bringing staff to the show, make sure that you really train your team members well. Make sure that they're really knowledgeable and they are approachable. There's nothing worse than being stuck. Like, I've had it before. You bring staff to the show and essentially they are as helpful as the pipe and drape setup. You know, they are just a pylon in your booth. They're not engaging with the people coming in. They're too shy. They feel nervous, or it's just not their element. It's not everybody's element. So you need to have the right people in your booth that are happy, smiling, attracting. You know, you want to have that person be a person that attracts people to them, to your booth, so that they can help talk to everybody coming by and, you know, go over all the solutions that you're offering on what it is that you can help them with. It's not just necessarily, oh, we have this, we have that. It's not about that. It's what can you do for them? How can you make their event less stressful and much easier to manage from their perspective? And the pre-show marketing, of course, you need to obviously do that, right? We always need to be promoting. Where are you going to be? If you're going to be at a show for weeks leading up to that, you want to be trickling out on social media. I will be at IWAN booth, whatever. These are the dates. These are the times. This is the location. Link for the tickets. I mean, there's, you know, you want to keep that coming out, whether they're posts, little short videos, little reels, or long form video. It really doesn't matter, but you do need to get that out there to bring more people to the show, not just for your own advantage, but of course, hopefully, ideally, other people are doing the same, so that, you know, they're bringing more people to the show, and that's your benefit as well, right? Some photo booths, I've seen photo booths, they let you take pictures there and they send them to you via email. So if you're a photo booth company, this is a great way, of course, to do that. And, you know, VR booths, they attract different experiences, they attract different crowds. And that's all great, right? Because we're not all there for the same reason. Not everybody that walks through the door to a wedding show is looking for rentals. Not everybody walking through that door is looking just for a photographer. There are people walking in that are not even engaged yet. And they're just walking around with a friend because their friend got engaged, but they're probably up next, right? They could potentially be just waiting for their ring. We don't know that. So it's being appealing to a lot of the people, not just focusing on the bride. You want to make sure that the entire team coming by your booth is taken care of, is feeling like they are part of the parcel of that bride to be, but is also an important factor in that whole process. Because if they're not important to the bride to be, they wouldn't be at the show with them, right? After the show, following up with the leads, following up with the people that, if you had a draw, let's say you had a draw for X number of dollars or whatever, an X number amount for your offering. And maybe the people that didn't win, you can still follow up with them and say, hey, here's a discount of some sort. If you choose to book, you didn't win, but I'm still going to give you this gift of a discount for stopping by the show and, you know, taking the time to say hello to me. Give them a thank you of some kind. So getting those out via email, of course, is the most cost-effective way. You're not sending any money on postage and all that, but there is labor involved. So you got to account for those things, right? If you're trying to get a true cost of attending and participating in a show. So basically, to recap, the importance of the planning and the execution is to, you know, follow up for the successful trade show experience would be to, one, be ready. Don't go in winging it, because that's just not going to produce the results typically that you're hoping for. You have to be intentional with your branding, your appearance of your booth, your appearance of all your printed materials, and of course your follow-up needs to have that same kind of look and feel. And I think that makes a huge difference for, you know, the potential result of your whole entire experience. Now, it is a large investment for the most part. So think carefully, do your, your pre-assessment, take your time to do it. Don't just fly in there. Make sure if it takes you half a day to get all your numbers, it takes you half a day to get all your numbers. It just is what it is. I'd like you to be prepared to be able to go in and have the best return on your investment possible. So it's not just a marketing expense. You'd like that marketing expense to have a return on its investment, because after all, you're putting in a lot of time, a lot of effort to be able to offer this to people attending the show. Hopefully this was helpful. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. Tell me what is missing, or tell me what you had wished to have learned in this video, because maybe I can make another video just for you to cover that. Make it a great day, everybody. Take care and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell and set notifications to all, so that you will get the notification when our next video comes out. For the most part, it's every Monday. So take a look on our channel every Monday and it should be there. Bye for now.